There was a village that was surrounded by a thick forest. The villagers depended on the forest for food, water, and wood for their houses and hearths. But one day, the king came to the village and he made an announcement. He said, "From today onwards, this forest will be my hunting ground. Nobody is allowed to enter it." The villagers were horrified. Without the forest, they would die of hunger and cold. So some of the bravest men went to the king and told him that if he wanted meat, they would hunt animals for him. But the king refused. He said, "No, I want to hunt myself. I have come across many villages, but none had such a huge and beautiful forest, and so I have decided to make it my hunting ground." Then the villagers understood that it was no use arguing with the king. They all returned home, disappointed. That night, everybody in the village was sad and worried about what would happen next. All of them were thinking different thoughts. Finally, the mother spoke up. She said, "Everybody be quiet. I have a plan. We can still save ourselves." The villagers asked, "What plan?" She said, "We will light a big fire in the middle of the village. This way, when the king comes to the forest to hunt, he will see our smoke and think that there are humans living in the forest, so he won't be able to hunt in the forest anymore." The villagers liked the plan, so they did exactly what the mother had told them. They gathered dry leaves and branches and made a huge fire in the middle of the village. The next morning, the king came to the forest to hunt. But when he entered the forest, he saw smoke coming from the other side. He thought to himself, "Could there be humans living in the forest? If that's the case, then who would have told me?" Unable to think of a solution, he started walking towards the smoke. As he walked deeper into the forest, the trees became thicker and the light faded away. Soon he realized that his sword was not enough to fight off the wild animals in the forest. He continued walking until he reached the edge of the forest, and there he saw a beautiful deer, and he took out his bow and arrow to shoot her. But just then, he heard a voice that said, "Hold your hand, O hunter." The king turned around and saw an old man standing there. He asked, "Who are you? How is it possible for you to live in this dangerous forest full of wild animals?" The old man replied, "I am the guardian of this forest, and I have been living here for many years. If you want to kill animals for your meals, you must ask me first. I will make sure that you don't get hurt." The king felt ashamed for wanting to kill innocent animals without even asking the forest guardian first. He apologized to the old man and asked for forgiveness. The old man forgave him and gave him 2 rabbits, enough for him to take back to his village. The king thanked the old man and returned to his village. When he told his people about the guardian of the forest, they were shocked. The king said, "From now on, nobody is allowed to touch even a leaf of this forest. Those who do will be punished severely." The people were very happy because now they could live happily with the forest and its animals. The king also invited the forest guardian to his kingdom so that he could protect the forest and teach others how to live in harmony with nature. The forest guardian accepted the invitation and moved into the kingdom. After a few days, the king received a letter from a neighboring kingdom. It said, "Hello, dear friend. I heard you have an amazing forest where you can get anything you need. I am planning to visit you with 1,000 soldiers. Please make sure you keep all the doors of your forest open so we can easily enter and take what we need." The king was furious after reading the letter. He couldn't believe someone would be so rude as to demand his forest's resources. So he wrote a reply. "I will wait for you outside the forest with my army, and then we shall see who gets what." The king was so angry that he rode his horse at full speed to reach the forest. He shouted, Forest Guardian, come quickly!" The forest guardian was taking care of his plants when he heard the king's shout. He immediately went to the king and asked, "What happened, your majesty?" The king showed him the letter and said, "This king wants to take all our forest's resources and doesn't even know how to speak to us. What should I do?" The forest guardian calmed the king down and said, "Don't worry, Your Majesty. I will take care of this problem." Then he called all the animals of the forest, and there were thousands of them. The forest guardian explained everything to them and asked for their help. The animals agreed to help him. When the army arrived at the forest guardian welcomed them and said, "You must be tired from your journey. Let us take good care of you." The soldiers were suspicious, but they agreed. The forest guardian took them to the most beautiful clearing in the forest, where flowers and plants grew in abundance. He asked the birds to pluck delicious fruits from the trees and give them to the soldiers. He asked the rabbits and squirrels to give them nuts and berries. He told the deer and antelopes to stay close by so that the soldiers could ride on their backs and rest. He asked the monkeys to play and entertain them, and the elephants to stand guard around the clearing. The soldiers were amazed at how much food they could find in the forest and how comfortable they were staying there. One of the soldiers asked, "How is it possible that we haven't seen a single human being in this forest? Where are the people who live here?" The forest guardian replied, "I am the only human who lives here, and I live with these animals as their guardian. If you want to go back to your king, you are welcome to do so. But I warn you, if you ever try to harm any of these animals or cut down any of these trees, you will face consequences that you cannot even imagine." After warning the soldiers, the forest guardian returned to his hut. Meanwhile, the soldiers had a feast and drank a lot of wine. Then they sat around the fire and started telling stories about the brave deeds of their king. Suddenly, one of the soldiers shouted, "I'm scared. Look, there's a ghost over there." All the soldiers were scared. They were trying to be brave and not believe in ghosts, but it was getting dark, and they could see the moving shadow of the forest guardian behind a tree. The soldier who had seen the ghost shouted again, "Save me! Save me!" All the soldiers got up and started running. They ran and hid behind the elephants, screaming for help. The forest guardian came over and asked them why they were making so much noise. The soldiers said, "Oh, there is a terrible ghost here. Save us." The forest guardian laughed and said, "Don't be scared. There are no ghosts here. You are safe. Now calm down." The soldiers were still scared, though, so the forest guardian took them to the fire and asked them to tell him everything that had happened. After listening to them, he said, "You don't have to be scared. Just stay here for now and sleep by the fire." The soldiers stayed by the fire and slept. In the morning, they woke up and found that their weapons were gone. The forest guardian came over and asked them if they liked living in the forest. The soldiers replied, "Yes, it's wonderful here, but we have to go back to our king." The forest guardian asked, "Why do you want to return? Do you want to take something from here?" The soldiers said, "No, we don't want to take anything, but we left our weapons outside last night and now they're gone." The forest guardian said, "If you really want to go back, you can, but you will have to find your weapons yourselves. I will send these animals with you to help you find your weapons." The soldiers were very happy and thanked the forest guardian for helping them. And that's our story. Now let's see what we learned from it. No. 1. We should always be kind to animals and plants. If we destroy nature, it will destroy us. Number 2, we should not be greedy. If we are greedy, we will never be satisfied. And number 3, we should always be honest. If we are honest, people will trust us and we will be respected. So remember these lessons, children, and be good human beings. Now it's time to say goodbye. Goodbye.